Our April read on the consumer price index up 0.3. Strip out the all-important food and energy, up 0.1. These are each 0.1 lighter than expected, but headline is 1/10 heavier than or lighter than our last look as well. Expectations and rearview mirror were both up for 0.4. Now let's look at the year-over-year numbers. Both sets include 2%. If you look at headline CPI year over year, it's 2%. If you look at core year over year, it is 2.1. Now let's look at real average hourly earnings year over year for April, up 1.2. And if we look at weekly earnings year over year, up 0.9. The up 0.9 is a little disappointing. Our last look was revised from 1.3 to 1.4. So wages on the real side aren't accelerating. CPI is certainly not cold. It's not even cool. But it's not any hotter, and we could argue maybe it's a degree or two not as hot. Interest rates, almost exactly where they were yesterday towards the end of the day, but they are drifting a bit along with stocks. Joe, back to you.
All right, Rick, thanks. Stick around. Joining us now, CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Leisman. Mike Santelli's back, Steve Grasso as well. So I thought, did you think that sounded kind of hot, Steve?
I did. I had it wrong. Rick had it right. We sometimes don't use the same consensus, but we do this time.
It was
right.
actually cold.
It was colder than expected. I like the way Rick put it as well, Joe. It's not declining. It's just not too. It's not really moving. And the context here is important because you would think the way the economy's been running and the way unemployment's been running that there were expectations you would have higher inflation, but we're just not seeing it. Housing shelter up pretty good, 0.3, 0.4 right there. Decline in new and used vehicles down 0.4%. Sometimes that has to do with the time of the year. Airline fares down 0.1. I'm just seeing not a whole lot of inflation in there. Prescription drugs up 0.7%. That had been on the way down. It seems to be back on the way up the last couple months. Gasoline, though, up 5.7%. And that's going to kind of work its way through. I thought, guys, for a second, we'd
not
talk.
Going away.
What's that?
Not going away.
No, it's not going away, but it's not the acceleration. I think is not going to be in the next several months.
How did Powell have this misstep, where he was enamored that there was lack of inflation before? You know, when he first came into to sit in that seat, he was enamored by the fact that he couldn't find inflation. No one could find inflation. There was nothing around, and then when he sat in the seat, he said, well, we want to raise rates because we want to combat the slow and steady inflation. And now we see that backstep. And the truth is the Fed is going to look for reasons that there's zero inflation.